Welcome to this tables course. So, what's a table in Excel? It's a way to store related information. Here, I've got rows of data with descriptive headings at the top of each column: countries, salesperson, order amounts, order dates, and order IDs. But wait, this isn't a table. It might look like one to you and me, but Excel won't recognize this data as a table until I take a few steps that I'll show you in a bit. You might wonder what's special about a table because you already have data in rows and columns. Well, tables save you time. When Excel recognizes a table, it can do things automatically that would otherwise take you a number of steps to do. For example, in a table, you can sort and filter, you get special table formatting, and Excel fills in formulas for you. You'll see all this as we go through the course. I'll convert this data into an Excel table by clicking inside the data. Then, on the ribbon, I'll click the Insert tab, and then, in the Tables group, I'll click Table. Now, see this box, Where is the data for your table? Excel has automatically selected my data and entered the cell references to be included for the table. And see this checkbox, My Table Has Headers? I want the checkbox selected so that Excel uses the column headings as headers in my new table. If I didn't select the checkbox, Excel would insert its own column headings, column 1, column 2, and so on, which I could rename later on. I'll click OK, and now I have an Excel table. Notice the formatting. Excel formatted the data as a table, makes it stand out from any other information that might be in the spreadsheet. The column headings appear in bold white letters on a dark background. Each column heading includes a drop-down arrow that you can use to sort and filter data. And each row has a shaded background alternating between blue and gray. You can always select a different format if you like. When I click in the table, I see these Table Tools Design tab for the table. And what I can do, if I'm not sure that I like this style, is go over to the Table Styles group, click the arrow here. As I pass my insertion point over these different styles, if you take a look at the table, you'll see that you get a live preview of what the style would look like in the table. Well, right now I think the existing style is fine, so I'll leave it as it is. Excel grows the table as you add information. To add a new column to the table, all I have to do is type in the blank column immediately to the right. I'll type Commission, press Enter, and there's my new table column, and notice that the formatting was applied for me. To add a new row at the bottom of the table, I just go to underneath the last row and type, press Enter, and there's my new row appropriately formatted. It's also easy to add columns and rows inside the table. Say that I want a new column. I just click a cell immediately to the right of where I want to insert a new column, right-click, point to Insert, and then click Table Columns to the left, and there's my new column. Now if I wanted a new row right here, all I do is right-click, point to Insert, and click Table Rows above, and there's my new row. Now it's just as easy to shrink the table. Say I don't want this new column after all on the right. I'll just right-click, point to Delete, and then click Table Columns, and notice that Excel took care of deleting the table formatting for me. And I'll go ahead and delete this new row. Right-click, delete, and delete table rows, and the row is gone. Another neat thing about tables is notice my headings here, country, salesperson, and so on. As I scroll down, those column headings are always in sight as I scroll, so you always know what the information means. And by the way, I can easily rename this column. Excel called it column 1, and I just have to type in a new name. And that's all I have to do. So far, you've seen me create a table from existing data, but you can also create a table from scratch. I'll just go ahead and type my headings. Quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4. Then I'll select my data, go to the Insert tab, click on Table, make sure my table has headers is selected, click OK, and there's the start of my table, and all I have to do to grow it is to type my information in it. Up next, how to sort and filter in your tables. As you've seen, when you create a table, Excel automatically adds these drop-down arrows to the top of each column. By the way, since the last video, I added some blank columns to the left here so that a menu that's going to show up in a few seconds will be on screen and not off to the left. Now, I can use these arrows to sort items either alphabetically or numerically depending on the information in the columns, and I can pick any column to sort on. For example, say that I want to sort the country column so that all countries are listed alphabetically. I'll click the drop-down button arrow and I'll click Sort A to Z. Now, Canada is listed first and down near the bottom is USA. Notice this little arrow here, upwards pointing arrow, that tells you that this column is sorted and all the other table columns are sorted accordingly based on the first column sort. But maybe after I sort the first column, I decide to sort on a different basis by salesperson name. So I click the arrow on the salesperson column and select Sort A to Z. Now my salespeople are sorted alphabetically, Buchanan, Callahan, and the small arrow that indicates I've sorted is moved to this column because I can only sort on one column at a time. Now, if I decide to sort a column with numbers, such as this Order ID column, my option is to sort smallest to largest or largest to smallest. And I think I'll sort largest to smallest. And notice now that my sort arrow is moved to this column and the other columns are sorted according to the sort order of this column. You can also use the drop-down arrows to filter and see only certain data in a table. That way, you see only the information that you need to see at the moment. For example, in the order date column, this spreadsheet has dates for 2009, 10, and 11. But suppose I only want to see the information for 2010. I'll click the arrow, and then I'll clear this Select All checkbox, and then I'm going to select 2010, and then I'll click OK. And now I just see the order dates for 2010, and this little icon here, it's a filter icon, tells you that this is a filtered column. Now there's still more filtering that I can do with dates. I'll click the drop-down arrow on Order Date again, then I'll point to Date Filters, and I'll click Equals because I'd like to see all the order dates that fall on 9/22/2010. And I'll click OK, and I see there were two orders on 9/22 by Fuller and by King. Now get rid of this filter by selecting Clear Filter from Order Date, and the filter icon is gone. Now you can also use text to filter by. I'll change to this spreadsheet Northwind by clicking the Northwind tab at the bottom of the sheet. And this is a list of all the products for Northwind traders. Well, I'd like to see what products have the word mix in them. So I'm going to click the drop-down arrow, point to text filters, and then I'm going to click Contains. And in the Contains box, I'm going to type mix, and I'll click OK. And I see that 3 Northwind Traders products contain the word mix: chocolate biscuits, brownie, and cake mixes. Now I'll clear the filter by clicking the arrow, Clear Filter from product name, and all my data is visible again. In the practice at the end of the course, you'll have a chance to filter and sort, and note that you can filter more than one column at a time. One last thing to mention in this movie, and that's the problem of duplicates. Here's the beginning of a simple list of first and last names. And it's easy to duplicate a name by accident in this type of list. The table has 3 duplicates that I can see: Antonio Alwyn, Thomas Binder, and Pat Coleman. Now, it's easy enough for me to see this in the short list, but imagine if it was hundreds or thousands of rows long. It'd be pretty hard to proofread. I can use Excel to remove the duplicates for me. I'll click in the table, and then we get the Design tab. And we've got this Remove Duplicates command. But before I start, I want to warn you that you should be careful with this feature, because Excel doesn't hide the duplicate information. It literally removes it from your spreadsheet. I'll go ahead and click the command, and we've got Remove Duplicates dialog box here, and in it are the two columns that are available in this spreadsheet, first name, last name, and first name. And I want both of those checked because I want Excel to check both columns when it's making its determination of any duplicates. So I'll click OK, and Excel tells me that 3 duplicate values were found and removed and 9 unique values remain. And I'll click OK. And so those duplicates are gone. They're not hidden. Up next, doing math in tables. Another thing about tables is that tables can help you to work with numbers. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of my table here, and this column, the order amount column, I want to get the sum of all of these order amounts. If I click in the table, I get the Table Tools Design tab, and here in Table Style Options it says Total Row. So I'll select that box, and now I've got this new row. Now I'm going to click where I want my sum, and I get this arrow that appears, and when I click the arrow, it shows me all the different functions that I could use right now. Average, count, max, min, and I want to sum up the numbers in the order amount column. So I'll click that, and bingo, I've got my sum. Now, one thing I'd like you to notice, though, is Excel took care of that for me, but if I click in the cell with the formula and then draw your eye up here to the formula bar, you'll notice that although I picked the sum function, it says subtotal. And 109, by the way, is the argument for sum when you're using the subtotal function. Well, Excel did this because subtotal is the only function that can deal with filtered columns, and I'll show you what I mean. Say that instead of having this order amounts for all the salespeople, I just want to see what Buchanan sold. So I'll clear, select all, then I'll click Buchanan, and I'll click OK. And as you see, the order amount updated to only show Buchanan. By using the subtotal function, Excel can correctly calculate when rows are hidden. Now, Excel takes care of all this for you. Say, for example, that I want to change sum to average. I just click, and then I've got the average for Buchanan sales. And if I look up here, it's subtotal, and 101 is the argument for average. But this is nothing that you have to worry about. It's just automatic. Say I take this filter off, and then I select all. And you can see the average changed slightly to reflect all the different sales. And I'll click again, and I'll get a sum, and that's all there is to it. I just wanted you to know about the subtotal function so that you would not wonder what on earth was going on if you happen to notice it in the formula bar. Another neat thing Excel does with math is that if you create a formula at the top of a column, Excel will copy that formula down the column for you and just fill it in automatically. I'm going to add another column here. I'll call it COMM for commission. Press enter. I've got my new column. And what I want to do is type a formula that will give a 3% commission for each one of these order amounts. Now, I could type the formula by using the cell reference, for example, C2 times 0.03, but instead I'm going to use a built-in feature of tables. I'll type an equal sign followed by a square bracket. As soon as I type that square bracket, Excel offers me a name of every column that's in the spreadsheet. I want order amounts, so I'll double-click that. I'll close that with a square bracket, and then I'm going to go times 0.03. And now watch the column as I press enter. Press enter, and the entire column is filled with what that commission will be for that particular sale. Using the column names with the formula makes it much easier to read. Instead of equals C2 times 0.03, it's a lot easier for someone to understand what the formula is about when you say equal order amount times 0.03. Those column names in the formula make it easy for anyone reading the formula to see which data is being used in the formula instead of having to look in column C to see what that refers to. Up next, more about table formulas. Before I show you more about table formulas, I want to give you a brief overview of named cell references. You may already be familiar with this term, but if so, hang in there, this will be quick. Understanding named cell references prepares you to understand something in tables called structured references. By the way, this section of the course is optional. If you don't think you'll be using formulas, you can skip this section. Now, back to named cell references. You can create names to represent cells or a range of cells. A name is a shorthand or nickname for a bunch of cells that makes it easier to understand the purpose of the cell range. For example, if I look up in the formula bar, I've got a formula here where I've summed cells C4 through C7 and D4 through D7. Looking at the formula, you don't immediately know what the cell references refer to. But if I click in this cell and then look back up at the formula bar, this formula uses named cell references. Quarter 1 and quarter 2 let you immediately know that quarter 1 and quarter 2 are being added together. This makes the formula much easier to understand. I won't go into how to make named references. That's not necessary to understand structured cell references, which Excel makes for you. When you create a table, Excel automatically creates structured references using the table name, and I'll click here and go to the Table Tools Design tab, and here's the table name which I typed in, Department Sales. And Excel uses the column names in formulas, similar to how you can use named cell references in formulas. Say that in this table I want to multiply the sales amount here by the commission percent here to get a commission amount. I'll click in the cell and type an equal sign followed by a square bracket. As soon as I type the square bracket, I see the names of each of the columns, and these are my structured references that Excel has created for me. So I'll just double click sales amount and then enter a closing bracket and an asterisk for multiplication, and then I'll type another square bracket to get back that list of structured references. I'll double click COM PCT and then I'll enter my closing bracket. I have trouble typing square brackets. There we go. So my formula is equal sales amount times commission percent. Then I'll press enter and watch the column to see the formulas autofill for me. And Excel filled in the column, and notice that Excel was able, because I used these structured references, was able to handle the different commission rates for each salesperson. Say that I want to add together the sales amount and the commission amount to get the total. And to do that, I'm going to type a formula outside the table. So I'll click and I'll type equals sum in a parentheses, and I want to type the table name. As soon as I start typing the letters, Excel offers me the name. I'll double click it to get it into the formula. Now, to get my list of structured references, I'm going to type my square bracket, and there we've got it. So I'm going to click sales amount. I'll close it with another square bracket and a comma. Then I'm going to type the table name again, and there it is. And I do that so that when I type another square bracket, Excel will give me my list of structured references again. So put in my square bracket, and now I'm going to double click COM amount. And by the way, you can see these other structured references that are here. This is not covered in this course. So double click COMT and end it with a square bracket and a parentheses and press enter, and my total is 4540.2. If you're interested in learning more about structured references, there's more information in the quick reference card at the end of the course. Be sure to take the practice that comes next, and this is the end of the course.